Recently, we've launched an MSME helpline for all MSMEs who are looking for support. It's a free consultation of 30 minutes that we provide in all domains, including GST, finance, GEM, setting up your business, import, export, and marketing. We request all of you, if you have any questions, any concerns, or if you want to avail this service, it's free of cost, and you can just call up on a number, and you can book a free consultation. So thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of the session.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the first concurrent business event happening as a part of Pune Expo. The event now will explore how the integration of IoT and AI is reshaping the manufacturing sector. We have divided this session in two parts, one on AI and on IoT, and the sessions will be moderated by Mr. Dinanath Khulkar, Chairperson MCCIA IT and ITS Committee. These sessions will bring together industry leaders, tech experts, and stakeholders to discuss how leveraging advanced digital technologies can enhance productivity, reduce costs, and drive sustainable growth. May I now invite on stage Mr. Dinanath Khulkar and the panelists for the first session, Mr. Abhijit Devgirikar, CEO, Copper Cloud Technologies, Mr. Shirish Kulkarni, Founder and MD, Strota Consultech, Ms. Sujata Tirak, Managing Director and CTO, Ascent Intellimation, and Mr. Mandar Sahasrabudhe from the Kirloskar Group. From Kirloskar Group? Okay. We have Mr. Nitin Gokhale from Kirloskar Group. Welcome, everybody. Before we begin the session, I request Mr. Sudhanva Kopadekar, Director MCCIA, to please share with us a few thoughts about MCCIA IoT initiative.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. We have purposefully crafted this session and the next one in tandem with each other. Those of you who know that MCCIA has also launched an initiative called MCCIA Sustainability Initiative in sync with the program that we run under the RAMP scheme. Those of you who were there in the inaugural would have known that we are one of the implementation agencies for raising and accelerating MSME performance in Maharashtra for MSSIDC. And we have specially curated a workshop on sustainability, digitization, and scaling up. Sometimes there is a variant about clean energy, open access. Sometimes there is marketing piece, sometimes scaling up. Sometimes it's just these two elements, sustainability and digitization. So these we have presented even to the SIDBI top brass, to the Joint Secretary MSME, and there is a scheme in the making at the MSME ministry level. If you go on the icon, if you go on the portal of MSME ministry, there is an icon called MSME Digital. Currently, it's empty, so we are trying to fill it with our model, so to say, of twinning digitization and sustainability by measuring the environmental impact assessment or the energy consumption, the resource consumption, and so on and so forth. Also the human productivity in sync with the overall framework of sustainable development goals or the demands from the customers and so on and so forth. So we also have an assessment model which is completely self-funded, so to say, by the MSMEs, where we go on the shop floor of SMEs, interact with the entrepreneur, their teams, and do a walk-in energy audit, walk-in digitization assessment, and walk-in sustainability assessment. So we have some of the assessors who have been part of that panel, and we are also trying to be in touch with bigger groups like the Kirloskars and the Tatas and so on and so forth for enabling this mechanism of the workshops and the sustainability and digitization assessment for their tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 companies. So hopefully some of those partnerships will emerge over time, and we will benefit from those. So those of you who are from the manufacturing sector or from the technology sector, we'd like to stay connected with you even more intensely. So we have In this session, as we went along, we figured out that we need to give justice to both the elements, and therefore we kind of separated the two sub-panels, if I may put it, which is one is the IoT and which will be followed by AI. So we will have perspective from the technology players and the user group in both the sessions, and both the sessions will be steered by Mr. Dinanath Kholkar, who is chairman of our IT/ITS committee. So without any further delay, let me hand over to Mr. Kholkar. Thanks.
Thank you, Sudhanva, and good afternoon to all of you. So exactly a year back, or a little bit more than a year, we actually launched a very interesting initiative which we called as an IoT cluster, where we paired the technology providers with the manufacturing or the industry members of MCCIA. And over the last year, we have been engaging these two participants in that cluster to ensure that we are able to make a match between the providers and the consumers. As part of that, we have also collaborated with academia, we have collaborated with technology societies and built up a momentum towards this. I have also visited a few of these implementation sites more to see what does it really take an MSME to go about deploying this type of solution. And it's been a very positive sign to see certain things. So that's as far as the activity at MCCI, and we'll hear from the panel as well. On the other side, I represent the Sensor Council of IEEE. I represent Computer Society on that Sensor Council, and very recently I was at Kobe in Japan, and there was a conference which was called Sensor 2024, and I was absolutely amazed at the level of advancements which are happening in sensing technology. And it was a very diverse set of sensors, some amazing innovations which are happening. And I'm sure, with the type of focus that's happening in India on the semiconductor industry, as well as the electronics growth that we are seeing, there will be a lot more supply that is going to create, which will be made in India, right from the chip and above, so that the overall cost dynamics of some of the technology would be very effective. So with that, I'll start off as, I won't spend time in introducing the panelists because Madhura already, or I forgot the name, we were already introduced. So let's start off with Sujata. I've known Sujata for a while. She was part of the cluster. So tell us a view, Sujata, more on how have you seen things change. So first, I'll ask each one of you, especially in the last year or so, have you seen things progress? Are there changes? Because earlier we used to all see a case that there was a lot of education which was being done, but not much of implementation. So just give a few opening comments on the implementation or adoption and the changes that you are seeing in the last year.
Thanks, Nina. And thanks to MCCIA for inviting me on this panel. So talking about IoT and evangelization, I have been evangelizing for last 10 years about industrial IoT and how it can benefit the industry. And slowly the industry is accepting it as a concept, right? Whether the industry has completely embraced it as a, something they must do. So we are still not at that stage, I think. It is still nice to have, it's good to have, but I must have it, that level has not yet reached. But those who have started the journey have, I would say realistically, they have a mixed baggage, right? And why that mixed baggage, maybe further up in the conversation, I will talk about that. But now things are slowly moving towards, yes, even the smaller industries are talking about it. No more evangelization is required. Everybody is aware of what it is. But having said that, identifying the right use case and implementing it and how to go about it, that still needs a lot of consulting, a lot of evangelization. So yes, things are progressing, but not as quickly as we would like.
So I'll ask Nitin, you represent a much larger group. Tell us about the penetration which has happened within your group and especially the plants that you have been very closely involved.
Good afternoon. So though we are a large group, but the journey has been fairly similar to any, say, a medium or a MSME organization. So we have been at it for around 7 to 8 years now. And but I must say that in the last couple of years, it has really picked up pace, at KOEL at least. And in terms of the manufacturing lines, implementation of IoT, as well as implementing IoT on our products. On both the sides, I personally see a significant change. And a lot of credit for that goes to the network availability, especially the internet availability and penetration that has happened. So for us, for example, we have close to 80,000 of our products having IoT devices on them, giving out data every 30 seconds, and we collect that, analyze that. So computationally, the resources are much, I would say, better available now, and the network penetration is there. So on the product side, the progress is good. On the manufacturing side, though it was a struggle initially, but what we decided to do is we tried to go in a small piece-by-piece basis. So that has helped us. Otherwise, the cost in these kind of things is fairly exponential. So if, I personally feel doing large number of small IoT initiatives gives you a lot more benefit compared to a big bang initiative from the beginning. So that will be my view.
It's okay. So Shirish and I have been interacting for the last couple of years, and primarily he does a lot of consulting to many of the companies, and we've actually visited some of the companies together, Shirish. And one of the areas which we looked at as a specific industry, we looked at chemical industry, for example. And I'm on a board of a company, and one of the things which came across was that as a larger community of the chemical industry, they were very low on any views from your side as regards how do you actually pick up a particular area and then penetrate that? And you know, given that, the specific reason I'm asking is MCCIA operates with committees which are very industry focused, like you have food processing industry, you have defense, electronics and other things. So give your views around that and how you have been able to drive that.
So thanks, Dina. Firstly, let me give a perspective about end users, the industry which are trying to adopt this, something called as Industry 4.0, you call it IoT. You have various sensors. Some are actually from the legacy systems. You are trying to connect everything and trying to make a meaning out of something that will benefit your business, right? In the form of quality, throughput, anything that you want to basically either increase the efficiency or effectiveness, right? Now, this simplistic definition of Industry 4.0 or IoT has been floating around for last more than 10 years. But if you see this MSME, and I'll answer the chemical industry related question also, has been a gap between the way that the promise was made during any implementation of a project gets sized, the business case gets created, and whatever gets committed without much of knowledge of what it is in the form of outcome, it does not get respected. So cost has actually been incurred, and then after 1 year or 2 years, the management comes back and asks, what has happened? So now we are in a process to educate everybody that, okay, let's go in step, and I think Nitin highlighted that, go in smaller steps, commit only the things that you can do, take the cost down to the level where you can actually get it implemented in an incremental and minimalistic way. That's the word that we are trying to coin. I think Sudhanva and myself, we were together, and we have this. This is the approach that we are taking for MSME specifically. Now, coming back to chemical industry, if you look at chemical industry, years together, chemical industry runs with the process controls and data. So data-wise, it is extremely matured, right? You have data. Now, it is a matter of, okay, now Industry 4.0 has a tenet called as big data, right? And how many of you know about definition of big data? Big data is the data. If you look back, many of our manufacturing units already have data, which was big already, but now it has been called as big data in the form of the size of the data, variability of the data, frequency at which the data is accumulated. Chemical industry already has it. Chemical industry runs with that feedback control loop where that level of maturity is already there, right? Industry 4.0 or these initiatives can get you two types of benefits for an industry. One is making your product more efficient or intelligent, or the second part is making your manufacturing or the whole end-to-end process more matured. Now, in in chemical industry, process side is already taken care. Now, the product that chemical industry makes is in the form of any liquid that you have, right? Or any solid that you have, which has got a very different composition. So now work is going on for actually focusing on how to create that DNA of product that you want to make, eventually resulting into what customer wants. So that's the focus.
So my question was specifically on would it make sense for industry vertical-wise approach within the members of MCCI? So we created an IoT cluster which had members who are in manufacturing, and we had providers which were technology. But I think given our experiences, it definitely makes sense to verticalize it. And let's say, for example, Anand Chordia runs food processing committee. So food processing committee related implementations could definitely make
I think answer is definitely yes. Yeah. And because every industry has got its nuance and specific thing that they want to take out and already have the maturity of data already in being present. So I think answer is yes, that way.
This particular aspect, right? So I firmly believe that especially for MSMEs, to keep the costs in check or to keep the costs reasonable, it will be helpful if we create like a package solutions for a particular industry. So if you are an automotive industry, this is the package solution for you. So no customizations, not much configuration. So just go there and very quickly within a 2-3 weeks time deploy it. So industry by industry, if we create such packaged IoT solutions, then that will be definitely helpful to keep the cost down, to keep the implementations in reasonable time. Because today, in addition to cost, it is also the implementation cycle that takes a toll, because the industry also has to invest in terms of manpower, in terms of their bandwidth for management, etc. So these both aspects will get optimized if we have package solutions for specific industry.
Abhijit, I'll come to you next. You have been at the implementation sites, various locations. So tell us the year gone by. Give us a view of, from a provider point of view, how have you seen change? What are the type of transitions which you have seen different organizations? Give us that view.
So I'd actually like to take one more step back and start about 2.5 years back before I come to the 1 year back point of ramp. So 2.5 years ago, even having a conversation about Industry 4 IoT was a bit of a challenging, because as a provider, we used to remain in a technology space and consumers wouldn't even know the terms we are using, which is not their fault, right? So there has been a bit of an education on both sides. Providers have started getting more and more familiar and conversant in the language of the shop floor. So when we use the names of the challenges, the processes, the tools that the shop floor uses, the connection is much better with the people who are the beneficiaries of this technology. On the consumer's end, there's been a lot. I don't know how it all happened, but within the 3-year span, there's a sea change in the level of awareness that we see on the consumer's part also, right? Nowadays, when we go, consumer entity, at least the leadership team, has already a fair bit of crystallization in their mind that these are the 3 top challenges, and I want to talk to somebody who can build IoT or who can build AI or who can build something else. So that mapping in the minds of customers is fairly reliable. So that helps to get the conversation rolling much faster. So initially, 2-3 years ago, we used to have a 2-hour conversation just to get to the use cases. Now, before on the phone, we talk about use cases. When we go, we talk about demonstrating capabilities. That is one sea change that has happened. Another major change we have seen is, and this is a commendation, my congratulations to the consumer community, that we don't talk to just the decision makers. The decision maker will bring one person from quality, one person from stores, one person from the supervisor, one operator, and the decision maker takes a step back and lets us discuss with the shop floor staff. And they step in where required. So it's a learning for us, but we have to field questions from the people who are going to push the buttons, not people who are going to pay the money, right? So that's another sea change over the last 1 year. Coming to ramp, we definitely see engagement. Now, for a moment, if you set aside the fact that kitne workshops kiye, kitne assessments kiye, kitne engagements kiye, I think we should keep a slightly long horizon on that. These things do take time. But I'll give you just a very narrow sample, right? So we have conducted about 15 to 16 ramp workshops along with sustainability and all. Out of those 16, we have conducted 12 assessments, right, from each of those workshops. Out of those 12, we have had 7 engagements. Okay, let's talk about next steps. And out of those 7 engagements, 3 implementations have resulted, which I would say is a good trend. Now, of course, for now, we think that, वो number दिखना चाहिए, but it does take time. The direction is right. I think 1 year ago, our conversation about the models was very messy. Talk about pricing model, talk about product or service, talk about OPEX or CAPEX. I think that is also crystallizing better. See, conversation and the terminology views has a big impact to, materializing good stuff. As long as both sides are educated and talk each other's language, it is much easier to get to the implementation stage. So that has been my learning.
So just to conclude, and probably I'll give a view around where all I have seen successful implementations. There were 3 very interesting patterns that I noticed. One was there was a sponsor who was very well educated and passionate about driving digital implementation. The other was they had hired consciously a person who has done an implementation in some large organization and things like that. So they had actually a movement which was involved. And the third one, I saw that there were the second generation in that MSME, which were very tech savvy. So that was a very interesting pattern. And within MCCIA, we run a cohort which is very specifically on some of these second generation entrepreneurs. And I interact with many of them. And they're very tech savvy. They are very much aware of it. And for them, it's technology first approach. So I think overall, it does make sense to look at these, especially those who are looking for implementation or looking for opportunities to take your solutions to these customers. So let me look at the other dimension, which was around sustainability. And we did mention that one of the aspects of this is to look at these implementations to enable the overall sustainability of the business and the overall sustainability development goals. So maybe I'll start off with Nitin, because I know that Kirloskars have had a very clear agenda about what are the things that they are going to focus on. And specifically, if you are able to call out the outcomes that we have been able to deliver so that the people are able to appreciate what are the type of impact it has made.
So in terms of sustainability, I think one of the key areas where IoT has definitely helped us as Kirloskar Group is on the energy side, especially the energy consumption side, or in general resource consumption side. In terms of our manufacturing facility at Kagal, so we have a lot of energy sources. So if you go to Kagal, you will have a solar as one of the energy sources. We have a huge solar park there. We have wind as one of the energy source. We have a battery pack as an energy source. We have our own gensets as an energy source. And we also have grid supply, of course. What we have done there is that with the implementation of IoT and building our own algorithms on top of that, we are able to create a system which distributes the energy or make sure that the right choice is made for the energy source in such a way that we achieve our ESG targets. Say, for example, if we want to have, say, more green energy, then we will, say, give more priority to solar. In case we want more availability, then we are focusing on, say, a diesel genset or a battery pack. So that kind of combination and selection of the right resources is possible because all these energy sources are actually connected through a IoT or monitoring devices. There is an observability element to it, and then there is somebody who can take smart decisions based on all that data. With that, I think we have been able to really bring down our energy consumption, and we have been, especially the Kagal plant, which is one of the state-of-the-art manufacturing facilities. So they have been able to win a lot of, say, awards. That is one part, but at the core, we have been able to do a more green production. So that's the mantra for Coel, and we have been able to demonstrate that physically at our manufacturing plant.
Thanks, Nitin. I think it makes a lot more encouraging to see the type of outcomes that are being delivered. Sujata, over to you. I was at your stall and you showed me one of your solutions, which is predominantly focused on the environment or the impact of waste which goes back into the environment. So, and specifically my interest is on water. So if you can give a little bit more color on that solution, because I'm sure there are many of the industries which are heavily dependent on water, and they also pollute water and they have treatment to the water. So you may just want to give that and obviously extend it further to the other emissions as well.
So the product he mentioned, it's called EnviroConnect, and it is an industrial emission monitoring product. So what we do is we connect to the analyzers, ETP, STP output, and we continuously monitor the quality of the effluent that is being left in the environment, as well as the flow, so both the quality and quantity. This is a government sponsored, so Central Pollution Control Board has guidelines, and nowadays we are seeing it is a very encouraging sign that some industries it's mandatory for them to monitor this. But some industries are doing it on their own accord. You know, they want to be environmentally conscious and they want to be doing their bit in environmental part, and hence they are doing it on their own. So we are continuously monitoring the output quality and quantity of the ETP and STP output and providing alerts to the industry. We also are backward integrating it with the process and giving them some insights as to what changes in the process leads to more pollution, you know, because ultimately the process improvements will lead to the reduction in the pollution, and this applies to both water and air. So same thing in air. So in air quality also, the emissions of SOx, NOx and CO and all of those polluting gases. So they are also backward integration into process and giving them insights as to what is causing more pollution and what can be done to reduce. So those kind of things, and they are possible in the technologies that we are providing. And in addition to that, if you talk of manufacturing, not the pollution part of it, water, air, IoT helps you to produce more with less, right? So resource utilization is improved, wastage is reduced. So any wastage you are reducing on the shop floor is helpful to the environment, right? So IoT and sustainability go hand in hand, or IoT is a big enabler for all kinds of sustainability.
Maybe Abhijit, I will, so you mentioned about the implementation. So any specific examples that you would like to share where you have seen significant amount of focus or drive coming in from a sustainability point of view in your implementations?
Sure. In fact, it's a very relevant question because when we did our first ramp assessment, right, we did not really include sustainability because it was part of another team. But Kopardekar sir suggested that we should have an element of sustainability in the IoT report also, which we added there, right? Now, very surprising for us, the very first two engagements we had, their very first requirement was to monitor hour by hour kilowatt hour units, which was a surprise to us because our anticipation was people would be more interested in production numbers. But the first two contacts we had was, pehle humko ye pain solve karna hai, right? So there is a lot of consciousness, and there is this one part of sustainability. There are of course others. There is water. There is even manpower tracking. There is utilization tracking. A lot of things go into sustainability. But once we started having these conversations in the context of ramp, we found that sustainability was coming up as number one or number two requirement from potential consumers. Most of that crystallized into energy and water, right? In fact, a number of things, because some people have LT as well as HT divisions into their plants, correct? And it's very hard for them to do hour by hour thing. And end of day, somebody can always write with a pen on paper that aaj ka itna utilization hai. Then somebody says, itna zyada kyun hai? I don't think we're using that much power. So in all these places, one value that IoT has added is hour by hour, we have helped to validate that yes, this much power is actually being consumed in your shop. Because the meter doesn't tell you hour by hour. And then you start, oh, it's a true picture then. What can I do to address this picture? And then they go out and find consultants that, okay, do a full audit of my plant. So I think what we say, no, plan, do, check, act. Whether you use Six Sigma, Lean, whatever, your decision making starts with collection of data, right? And the data tells you how big the problem is. And I think the first interaction IoT has is, it gives you the data that you were not privy to before that point. And if the data is right, the decisions are going to be better decisions. So that has been my experience.
Yeah, no, absolutely wonderful to hear that, and I think it has been a very interesting step that Sudhanva took to integrate the sustainability into it, because then you could clearly link one more purpose, not just on efficiencies and things like that. So, Shirish, continuing on that point, and I know you have been consulting to various companies on, especially on elimination of waste, and coming up with their overall digital strategy around it. So, tell us about the entire journey, about what does it, who do you convince, how do you actually make a business case for them to actually adopt it, and things like that. So, entire digitization strategy itself.
Right. Basically, let me be very honest, the whole purpose of digital strategy or digital transformation, typically we do not use this lingo with SMEs. This is a kind of language that we use for larger type of organizations or corporates. But for building a kind of a roadmap or small kind of a plan where you move from a state to another state, firstly you have to actually measure where you are right now. So that assessment, if we are doing right now, we are actually measuring all the digital presence that you have and what is the kind of outcome you are generating right now. So we generate as is. It is called as is state. And based on what that organization tries to do, they want to basically increase their production by 2 times, 4 times, or basically go across geographies. What is the purpose that they have? Translate that into something which is going to be supported by the digital tools that you have. Now, once you know that, that is called as a to-be state, right? The current process gets completely documented of what digital tool is giving what kind of outcome. And Abhijit outlined that, all these tenets of data actually reveals where gaps are. The second point is about the gaps that you identify to be going from as is to the future state for 3 years or to 5 years, right? Larger that we create this roadmap, it becomes a little bit threatening. So we bring it down to not only 6 months, but build as 30, 60, 90 days plan. Okay, so basically start with something that you can deliver in 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months. Actually get handshake with the owner of the organization that, okay, this is something which is absolutely delivered. Talking about the waste, conventionally, if you know about the waste in lean, any of the waste that is getting identified by IoT is actually going to generate direct benefit in your profitability. Whatever is getting wasted, if you are able to save that cost, that directly goes in your profit. So first 30, 60, 90 days, we aim to get profitability going up. We don't aim anything else because money in the pocket of the owner means a lot. So I think in nutshell, that's exactly what we do. We don't draw a huge amount of 3 to 5 years plan, but focus on every 3 months that we are delivering the value from whatever smaller tools. And you don't really require to have a large corporate. And we actually get afraid, right? Some 50 lakh rupees quote comes and then, we say that, okay, only larger organizations can do it. We should be able to do it in, a couple of lakhs of rupees and show that output. And if we see that kind of money coming back in 3 months, 6 months, that confidence gets built. And that is the key to success.
No, very important aspect that you have to show those type of outcomes. So one very interesting use case, one of our members had taken me to one of their sites, and they were doing automation on parking lots, saving of energy in parking lots. And one of the key reasons why they were implementing it at that site was because one of the persons had already done a similar implementation at Magarpatta city, and so he was trying to replicate that. So that was one of the, but I was quite amazed at the amount of saving. They were able to get almost 80% saving on the energy which was being used in parking lots, just by using IoT-based solutions. And it's quite amazing. So, in fact, I spoke to Satish Magar, who you probably know has been the architect of Magarpatta city. And he said, look, all other things which were there were already we were tracking it, but people were not looking at lighting as an area. And he decided to do that at Magarpatta. They replicated that at Amanora. And the site that I had seen was at the Barclays GCC. And it's quite amazing. So there are many such examples that we have seen, across industry across different sectors that are people are able to find those use cases. But there are still issues about scaling up. Okay, so I'll probably look at both Sujata, you and Nitin. You have seen large scale. You have implemented at multiple locations. We'll talk about the scale dimension with you primarily. How do you see things scale up? Because Nitin, you mentioned about small projects and things like that. But as soon as you start seeing benefits, I'm sure the management is after you to saying, "Abhi 3 kiya hai, to abhi 30 karo implementation." So give that perspective about how organizations are scaling up. And Sujata, you have multiple implementations, and what do you see the future to be?
I think Abhijit mentioned it briefly about the data being available and decisions getting made based on that. So I always feel that we are really comfortable making decisions based on our gut feel, more often than not, correct? And what IoT does actually is that it makes you take decisions based on data, correct? That's a major shift in the mindset that actually the shop floor or the users, they need to, first of all, have. And we have seen that though initially there was a lot of hesitation and there will be arguments on data, eventually if the person knows that it is going to help him or her in his productivity, then automatically it catches up. And in terms of scalability, what we have seen is that, say for example, we have 10, 15 different product assembly lines. We will do the implementation on one line, we will perfect it there, and then we will do a horizontal deployment on the other lines. Rather than doing, say, all 15 lines a small deployment, we will go on one line, we will perfect it, and then we will put it other. So that's how we have been able to scale our implementations at our manufacturing lines. And in terms of scalability, I think there is one more aspect that we need to consider is the aspiration part. Finally, the company owner or the person who is running the company, the aspiration has to come before ROI when it comes to IoT. If you always think about ROI, most probably you will miss out on all the benefits. So somebody must be there who thinks a little ahead of time, invests a bit of money, sees the benefit, and then the ball starts rolling. So I think that has to be the approach.
So I'm going to give a little divergent view than what you just said. Scaling is of two types, right? Vertical scaling and horizontal scaling. So vertical scaling is you do a deployment with some functionality and then you add more and more functionality on that same line or on that same set of assets, right? So one big aspect in terms of the cost of IoT implementation is the infrastructure cost, right? The cost required for networking, your Wi-Fi, your LAN and cloud and all of that. Now that infrastructure cost is fairly same, whether you deploy functionality 1 to 3 or you deploy functionality 1 to 10, right? So vertical scaling is much more cost effective because your infrastructure is already there. So if you have set up some infrastructure, then you need to start thinking what more can I extract using the same infrastructure. And that type of scaling is always cost effective because you are only incrementally adding some cost, maybe for some license or some additional hardware, but your base is already ready. So we always tell the industries that you start thinking from this angle because a lot of companies do start with the productivity or OEE, right? And then they stop there. They don't look at other aspects, which could be maintenance, which could be quality. You have a system, you can deploy maintenance system, you can deploy vision systems using same infrastructure. So this is one aspect which we try to, convince the customers. Horizontal scaling. Now you said we take one assembly line, make it perfect, right? There is nothing perfect. So if you strive for 100% perfection, you will never reach there. So you have to take a decision as to what is good enough. Am I getting the returns that I am expecting, right? And once you start getting those returns, then you start thinking about the horizontal scaling. For horizontal scaling, what you need is an internal champions. Those who will vouch that what has happened is giving me results. And for that, you need another tracking, which is the tracking of ROI, right? And For tracking ROI, your initial implementation has to be of certain optimal size. If you start pilot on just 2 machines, you may not be able to show ROI on that because those 2 machines are not really mattering much in your overall scheme of things. So the selection of your first implementation has to be such that you are able to show ROI. Because if you show ROI, then only the management is going to invest in horizontal scaling. So these are some of the things which are to be considered when you want to look at scaling of them.
Abhijit, I'll come to you next. You were discussing about regulations, export to EU, and all of these things which are driving a lot of these implementations. And give us a view around that and how you see that pretty much a must-do type of thing. So when we started the discussion, it was still felt that it is good to have, or it is something which somebody's aspiration is driving it. But what if you can't do business because you're not compliant towards using certain things, either on demonstrating sustainability or demonstrating the type of qualities that you require and things like that? So.
Thanks for the question, sir. I've been wanting to talk about this. So the way we look at things, right, over the last 6 years that we've been implementing, we have seen 3 different kinds of drivers why a consumer would agree to adopt the latest set of technologies. The simplest is an internal driver where the leadership team, right, because they have burned their fingers, because they are not getting the kind of data or analysis they want, because they know there's a problem, but they can't put a finger on it. They want to measure the problem. That's an internal driver. Another major internal driver is, I think Sir touched upon it, is the next generation taking over. And they've since their childhood, they've been on social media and everything is the click of a button. So at somewhere they see a gap that why can't I do the same thing in my industrial implementation. Those are internal drivers. More interesting is internal drivers are great because if internal driving is happening, then you don't need external drivers. In many cases, external drivers, like Holkar sir mentioned, right? The largest external driver I have seen so far is many of our even micro and small manufacturers are now seeking and even getting offshore customers, right? So we are competing in EU, we are competing in Australia, we are certainly competing in Brazil and other emerging markets, right? And people who are like a couple of oceans away, they want to know that everything is going fine with their job orders. And the one way to do it is they call my customers and say, "Kaisa chal raha hai, when will I get it?" And we tell them something, we ourselves don't know. Second thing is they say, "Boss, give me a dashboard." So somebody in EU, in France, in Frankfurt, tells my customer who's making wire harnesses for, Volkswagen, that show me the status of my 10,000 orders in real time. And when that happens, automatically the market is biased towards manufacturers who have a technology adoption trend, right? Because they are going to get preferential treatment from their offshore customers. And we need to taste that thing once. If I'm a reluctant, consumer and I'm being forced by a customer to adopt technology, I have to do it once. And just because you start seeing it's a snowball effect, and then I drive myself. So the biggest external driver is my offshore customers are saying, this is what I want. If you have this technology, if you can show me a remote dashboard, then I'm more inclined to give you my business. And the third, again, a very major driver is regulatory driver. And one thing comes to mind is we want ISO certifications, we want IATF certifications. Having IATF is pretty big deal for automotive and aeronautics manufacturers. Now, I've gone through all the 34, 35 pages of the IATF specification. Not once you'll see the name data science or IoT or AI or anything. But almost every third or fourth page, there is a reference, data should come from sensors on the machine, data should be accessible over cloud so that I can audit it remotely, there should be analytics generated in real time. So without using the word IoT or Industry 4 or AI, there's a not implicit, there's an explicit recommendation that if you want to get IATF certified, these things should be adopted, right? And compared to the benefits we get by getting certified, the cost and the time of implementation kind of suddenly seems much more feasible. So that is my take. I do want to go back and touch upon one aspect that both Sujata ma'am and Nitin sir took over. So we spoke about ROI. And this is something we have struggled with a lot because continuous improvement initiatives, it's very hard to articulate an ROI. correct? Now, if I was a consultant, I would probably find a way to tell you that itna gram ROI milega, right? Kind of thing. But in fact, it's very hard because the improvements are happening not just because of one implementation, correct? So I discussed this thing with somebody who is a serial entrepreneur who's on his third major startup, sold first two startups to MNCs. He gave me a very good perspective. Then I start sharing it with my customers. Look at ROIs as a part of your KPIs. Now, I cannot give you a number on ROI, but you have a KPI to increase your operational efficiency. You have a KPI to increase productivity. You have a KPI to decrease your power footprint, right? So even if you can't have a dollar figure as an ROI, you can directly draw a line between AI or Industry 4 or IoT adoption to multiple KPIs that you have. And I think that was a big enlightening moment, aha moment for me, that somebody might be looking at ROI, but you can answer that and satisfy the question, linking that to KPIs. I thought we have a lot of discussion of ROI, so I'll bring this perspective as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhijit. It is definitely important for the industry to be aware of the regulations and what it really requires to compete in the market. Shirish, I'll probably give you the last word on this topic, but I will take you up on your Industry 5.0. I know you have been talking about Industry 5.0. You've done sessions at MCCIA. While I know that adoption of Industry 4.0 is itself at a nascent stage, just give a flavor of what is coming up.
Yeah, actually opening your mouth for 5.0, people say 4.0 ही नहीं हुआ तो क्या 5.0 बात कर रहे हैं. 5.0 has been there on the horizon for last 5 years. EU has already adopted it 3 years back. There has been policies completely rolled out by the government and it is been aligned to. Now, why do we require 5.0? Let's go back and firstly accept that, okay, 4.0 is maybe having maturity of 2.2 on the scale of 5 for small and medium businesses, maybe corporate it will be 4.2. So kind of matured, going there, showing some metrics, outcomes that we are expecting for larger corporates where funding is still going to come in incremental way, the way that COEL is doing. 5.0 comes now. When we move on to 4.0 and excessive use of 4.0, we talk about throughput, right? We actually look at running the factories forever, 365 days, 24 hours. And there is a concept of dark factory which is coming and on the horizon where some of the factories are absolutely running without any manual interventions. Now, as you have seen the whole process of industrialization, is it a threat that we are generating for human and capital and the kind of effort that and are we threatening the manpower element in the industry? So 5.0 actually gets that maturity where the control thresholds, the kind of way that we want to bring back the intelligence to take from where you are in 4.0, that level of maturity and benefits to the next level by bringing in manpower in the intelligent way. So 5.0 has one first pillar, which is manpower, getting the manpower back wherever it is required, intelligently to control the systems that you have put in place in 4.0. So it basically builds on to 4.0, already getting benefits. Second tenet is sustainability, and we have spoken about considerably about the sustainability part. ESG as an element has been there, but sustainability has not been kind of landing well in the form of metrics that we need to have to control them. Now let's not get into the debate where our government or in India or abroad, carbon footprint is getting measured and penalized for, which will drive the sustainability part or ESG part to be more and more aggressively followed to make the whole process of manufacturing more green. So this is second part where we bring in sustainability as an element. Third part is the agility of your organization. Now, we had a pandemic 4 years back. We did not know how to react to it, right? Remote working was one of the ways that we can do. Actually, out of all the business processes, we identified the processes which still could be run with the customers, not going to the workplace, but still continuing the industry without any intervention. That kind of agility, we need to actually forecast. Now, all of our organizations in IT sector might have something called as business continuity or fallback arrangements, and we do plan in pockets. But 5.0 will make you govern as agility part at the governance level. So these are the three tenets that are on the horizon. We have been educating larger organizations first. 5.0 eventually will land. My viewpoint is that it is coming. It is going to come and actually be with us. It's always good to be aware of what we are not adopting than saying no to it. That's what I would say.
Given that we have such a large European presence in the Pune region and many of our members are actually suppliers or partners to these companies, I think it's very important that they are aware of what is the evolution this journey will take. So I think we probably don't have time for question answers, but what I would do is, we thought this will be just a trailer. These folks are all here. You can definitely interact with them. So again, thank you, Abhijit. Thank you, Shirish. Thank you, Sujata and Nitin for this session. Please give a round of applause.
Thank you so much. It was really some insightful discussions here. I request Mr. Dinanath Kolkar to please felicitate our panelists. Mr. Abhijit Devgirikar of Copper Cloud Technologies. Mr. Shirish Kulkarni of Stota Consultech. Ms. Sujata Tira of Ascent Intellimation. And Mr. Nitin Gokhale of Kirloskar Group. I request the panelists and the moderator for a group picture, please. Thank you to all the panelists. Now we move on to the next session, which is on AI, which again will be steered by Mr. Dinanath Kolkar. To invite the panelists on stage, I call upon Mr. Himanshu Zadhav, Managing Director, Agenda Mark India. Ms. Sucheta Dhere, Social Entrepreneur, Founder of WIMLDS Pune, a community learning initiative. And Mr. Mandar Sahasrabudhe of Kirloskar Group. While we allow a moment for the stage to be ready for the session, I invite on stage my colleague Gauri, who would share a bit about different AI initiatives at MCCIA.
Hello, everyone. So just to give you a brief, since we've been hearing the word AI for a significant amount of time, it's all in our Google News, it's everywhere, it's on our WhatsApp now. And MCCI thought there's so much spending and investment that large companies do in AI initiatives of themselves. There's no one who pays attention to MSMEs, and this is our way of doing it. So our mission for this financial year is to train 1,000 MSMEs in AI, not just in impacting thing, but also the idea is to make them use AI in their day-to-day activities. So far we've completed around 500 plus MSMEs, and we look forward to doing more. So if you have any new ideas or things that you want to explore, you can just talk to me after the session. Thank you.
So hopefully next time AI can moderate the panel. So good afternoon, all of you. So this is a continuation of the earlier session. Good to have Himanshu, Mandar, and Sucheta on the panel. What I will do is we'll just start off with hearing from them more of how they are seeing AI adoption in their own businesses or organizations and what you're seeing from a skills perspective. So you can give a diverse perspective, but more focus on how things have changed over the last year or so.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, so I think the AI journey has been very, very overwhelming because the technology is advancing, evolving, and maturing very fast, which sometimes even we find it difficult to cope up with. But the benefit of that is, I think, more democratization. It has become more inclusive and accessible to all, at the last mile or at the lowest level. Especially with the advancements of LLM and chat GPT, it's very easy for people to visualize. Lot of advanced layers have come on AI itself. Lot of tools, lot of small ideas, which even MSMEs are exploring now. And I think with the journey which Gauri mentioned, and I have experienced associating with MCCIA for last 6 to 8 months, I think MSMEs are now more open and receptive to start adopting it, exploring it, play around with it. So I think that is my initial comments.
Hello. In my view, AI was always there. We are all using Google Maps for so many years, right? I mean, it had a built-in algorithms. We coined it as a AI now. That's what I feel. Any new technology, I always visualize with this example. It's always like a resembles to something we called as a god. It generate, operate, and destroy. Here it generate, operate, and disrupt. I think we are in the stage of probably operate stage of AI now, and that's why from generate we have come to the operate stage. AI adoption is still low, definitely low in the industry. It had just started, but people have started focusing on small applications of AI which will enable businesses. I think that's where the industry is now at a nascent stage to completely adopt the AI. Till the time the LLM models and algorithms become open source, the adoption will not increase, which is very few now. But that's how the trend I could see now from the AI perspective.
Maybe I should play the devil's advocate. In my honest opinion, in my 20 years now that I've been in the industry, I think it is too early to say in manufacturing sector, okay, at least in manufacturing sector, AI will have any significant impact in India for MSMEs. That is from what I'm being experiencing, because not because AI is not powerful. AI is a very powerful tool. We have seen now in our social life the impact of AI a lot more. So, I mean, I always joke in my company when I see a CV coming, I know it is not written by the person, but it is AI written. So you know that CVs to resignations are now with AI. So I think in social life, AI is quite in use. We use ChatGPT, children use ChatGPT, but I think the problem with AI in manufacturing is the data that is tapped into to use AI is not available, or whatever is available is actually, because AI is only going to help you make good decisions if the data is good. The problem is we are now, I mean, we spoke about Industry 5.0, but actually 3.0 is not yet there. So using corrupt data and using a very powerful AI model to take an AI-based decision is not going to work in manufacturing sector because of the lack of sanctity of data. If the data model is correct, you have got the right data actually from your shop floor, from manufacturing, which is what I call is not corrupt by humans, then AI decision-making process or AI will be 100% useful. But at this stage of time, I don't see, or I am also not an advocate of telling any companies whom I work with, right from the big OEMs to MSMEs, that please don't go with data AI first. Let's start first, very basic first.
Very interesting point that you bring out, Himanshu. In fact, when I was with TCS and the Tata Group, way back in 2017, 2018, we actually launched a data excellence program. And it was integrated inside the business excellence framework that the Tata Group has. And just 2 days back, they had the convention where a lot of the companies which have adopted, about 30 Tata Group companies have already been on the journey. And the interesting thing is about this data excellence program has been that the CEO of the company is mandatorily involved in this entire journey. So by default, the top leadership is fully aware of what is the data which they have and what is the data that they don't have. So a very important point that you bring up, and obviously there are various tools which are there, and Gauri has been advocating those, and those are things which help in some amount of efficiency, quick learning, instead of spending a lot of time on reading things, you get to know about things very quickly. Some of these things are very much in place. But let's look at the manufacturing sector itself. Usage of, and one of the things which is there is India has to compete in the global market. Quality is a very key element. And if you have to be competitive, cost competitive, and then really be the number one in the world, obviously this is setting up a new benchmark. So if you put that perspective in mind and then give a flavor to AI, that's the point that we could possibly discuss, so that everybody who is here in the room is not necessarily looking at AI potentially impacting jobs or bringing in efficiency, but AI can also bring in a completely different product for you, right? So let's start off with that perspective, and then Himanshu, why don't you start?
So quality and maintenance are, I think, two areas where immediately any industry can start with minimalistic investments. I think if I speak mostly from MSME's point of view, I think the first roadblock for any MSME is, I don't know if AI is really going to help me. So I've gone to many MSMEs, and in fact even OEMs, to be honest, from Tata. So we provide IoT, AI solutions, automation, hardware layer, right from sensor up to AI, up to cloud. So there we see that the first question is, I don't know if it's going to be really useful to me. So the immediate answer to that is to give them a proof of concept on their own shop floor. The moment any entrepreneur or any management person or a shop floor person, he sees immediate impact of using technology and AI on his work, which is helping him but not taking him out of work, I think there the mindset changes, first step, and there is an immediate thing. So from a quality point of view, what we have seen and what we have implemented is, I'll give an example of inspection. So unfortunately, in most companies still, there is a traditional age-old inspection process of a printout with 30 checkpoints, 40 checkpoints. Unfortunately, the reality of Indian manufacturing sector also is contract manufacturing. So a person who doesn't know English gets an English printout to check the quality of the product being dispatched. And he is supposed to make notes, and those notes are made and then they are put in the product for rework or assessment or improving quality. Now this entire process, unfortunately, is so flawed that here you have to intervene to bring a non-human face in, non-human process in between. And they're using the right kind of sensors, camera, vision systems, which either eliminate or reduce the dependency on the human to ensure that the product quality for the company is better off. Because either the company has to change the entire process of hiring humans, which is quite difficult in India, or adopt technology using AI, where you put vision-based systems, where vision-based systems nowadays are not only using absence and presence, but also very qualitative data, what we call as DDS, dent, damage, scratch. So I have implemented in vehicle companies where initially the perception of a human that is it a scratch or it is not a scratch, that is now completely taken away. It is now AI-based vision system where we can decide, even from a safety point of view, whether an individual is wearing gloves. I mean, I saw a lot of stalls outside who are selling gloves. And all of us want our employees to wear gloves when they operate because it's a safety thing. It's an audit. Even in the morning we heard. But do we really know that every time for the 8 hours gloves are being used? In a foundry also, for example. So AI actually helps you to detect, are you using PPE all the time? So those kind of easy starts are something which I think in terms of quality, safety, which can definitely be used. And those are implemented in MSMEs also with minimalistic investment. I mean, I don't even want to go into a 5-digit number. At the moment I have met, the moment I say a lakh, there is immediately, ठीक है, अगले साल देखेंगे. No, so the moment you go with a subscription-based model, where you say pay as you use, then it's fine.
So very interesting, one of our members, they do provide quality checks to the railways on the bed sheets. So earlier, the bed sheets which were used in our sleeper coaches and things like that, there were only sample checks which were done on the cleanliness. Now they do 100% checks. We're using AI. And it's one of our members, very proud. I saw his implementation at one of the army events that we had, he was there. So it's quite interesting that some of these use cases have helped companies deliver their services with a very high degree of quality. And we just heard in the earlier panel about some of the regulations and things like that which will drive that type of thing. So I think it is important to start looking at it from that dimension. So Mandar, share your perspective, and I'm sure within Kirloskar, the entire group, there'll be a lot of focus around world-class quality because you are competing fiercely in a very global market. So give us that perspective.
Sure. I think we are, thankfully, our promoters are pioneer of digitalization. I always say that. I mean, they're forward-looking people. So we have definitely started our AI journey with, of course, with the flagship company Kirloskar Oil Engines, where Nitin mentioned about the IoT. Take a step back about what Himanshu mentioned. Rather than quality and maintenance, we have started with the low-hanging fruits. So we are starting deploying AI for our internal employees or internal stakeholders first, which means we have developed an AI hub which tells them about what all products we develop, what are compliances we follow. So some intern coming in, it's very easy to give him the product induction. So that's the first step we have taken. Secondly, we also took an initiative where we brought along all the functional leaders saying that you should know AI and everybody should find a use case for that. So it could be a service support guy talking about the AI use case. It could be a stores guy talking about it. So in short, if you do it in pockets and you do it as connected stores, connected quality, connected testings, then end of the day, it becomes a smart factory. So that's the approach we have taken now from AI. Also, you know, we have started an AI deployment. So for example, we have doing a digital twin implementation, which is going on. Now, the thought process or vision is that once we implement that, how do we use the AI, which tells me what kind of productivity improvement I can bring in the plant. Second AI deployment, which we have thought of, could be also by collecting the tons of data which we have, which is generated by the products in the market. How could we run the AI to improve our product? How can we run the AI to reduce the lead time to the market? How can we run the AI to make it product more sustainable? So I think that's kind of initiatives we have taken in each and every function, starting with the internal stakeholders first. So that's what probably will take us to the benchmark of the global competition, I feel.
Thanks. Sucheta, I'll come to you in a slightly different context. You know, you've been very closely involved with MCCIA. You've been doing various sessions. You also run the Women in Machine Learning and Data Science community. So give a perspective on two dimensions. One is the readiness of the MSMEs and the entire journey that you see. Also give a view around the skills availability and how you are seeing the readiness, either in the MSMEs or in the market in general. What are you seeing?
Okay. So I think in terms of adapting, there is a lot of curiosity and openness. They're very receptive because they understand this is something which will benefit to me. But there is a gap on the floor level because the people who are, especially in the manufacturing, right, who are working at the floor level are not that technology savvy. They mostly come from the manufacturing background. So they are not aware of their needs. They have problems, but they have accepted it. They don't know that this can be avoided. They are not realizing that, oh, this is duplication of efforts. Oh, this can be completely, become automated. So I think awareness is very important, and that comes top down. Then when it comes to just adding to the same, prioritizing, the quality question which you asked, right? Making the decision maker, which is mostly top-down approach, realize the value of this. Okay, so it's not only product quality, right? The process quality can drive product quality. So, and linking that to the skills, I think one very impactful program which we have done is leveraging interns. I mean, starting with academia, because the big problem with MSMEs is the affordability. Even to do a proof of concept, the infrastructure and the cost required for computing data, right from gathering to collecting, I think the interns are very, very helpful there because they are quite tech savvy because they are catching up very fast. So we are leveraging interns a lot to help them give a cost-effective solution. Okay, you at least do a proof of concept. You realize the benefits, take the feedback, let the end users use that. The second thing is, creating the community feeling amongst the people who can work freelance, part-time, and which are again, sometimes is not the need of the organization to work full-time. They don't want to hire a chief AI officer or someone who needs to be there 24/7. They just want someone to strategize, study everything, recommend, let's do this first, let's prioritize this. And I have done this successfully with a lot of industries, Ghadge Patil, and specifically focusing on their problem. We don't want to just give, a bucket solution to all, but we were focusing on the problem. Ki, tell me your top problem. Similarly, there is a company called Rico Industries in Alandi. So they had a very classic problem of bill of material management, BOM. And many other small solutions, we focused only on problem. And then we tried to give them a proof of concept showing how this can help. But I think the cost part still remains to be addressed, where we can think of, just like Sujata said, maybe some shared solutions. Instead of developing a solution only for one MSME, if we can group the problems and create a shared solution so that the cost, if the cost can be shared, then something constructive can happen there.
So one question which comes up is obviously the awareness level, or at least the art of the possible with AI. And how are, I'm probably starting off with the senior executives in the MSMEs, say the CEOs of the company. What efforts have you guys seen being taken, maybe in case of a larger organization or where you do your deployments of your products? How have you seen the awareness levels or the aspirations of people to use technology, and some pointers so that there are solution providers out here, there are also consumers out here. So if you can give that perspective. And I give you a slight different example. I'm on a board of a couple of companies. So one of the reasons why I'm there is because they want to leverage my digital experiences. So whenever we have board meetings and we have some time, I show them some interesting stuff. Okay, simple thing is like how to use Microsoft Copilot, okay, and Office Copilot, and what are the things it can do. I show them some things which are very easily shown on WhatsApp Meta AI, and how prompt engineering can potentially help. Show them some things which can be created very creatively using a Gen AI. So some of these things I do to educate my fellow board members. So what are the things that you've seen? Are there sessions? Are there things which you can possibly look at building up that community which will adopt AI to look at benefits for the industry?
I can give a very good use case. I can't name the company, but I can give you a very good use case which we implemented. So obviously there was, the drive is from the top. That's 100% correct. The drive has to be from the top, the CXO level or the MD level. They wanted to implement, let's put the catchphrase, digital transformation in their organization. But the first step, and which we could tell and explain, is before digital transformation, you have to have human transformation. So the humans in your organization have to acknowledge that they have to get transformed. You can't force human transformation. That's the first topic. Second is, there is a perception, I would not say everywhere, but there is a very strong perception, and I would like to slightly take a different view on what you said, ma'am, is the manufacturing guys don't want to adopt or change. I think it is the perception because they have not been exposed in their profession technology. But if you go right now, I mean, thanks to us scanning barcodes on every small roadside vendor, We are a digitally tech-aware population. I have not seen anybody who does not know when he sees a barcode now that yes, I have to scan it. The fact that he's scanning a barcode outside his job, he is accessing information, he is using UPI, he is doing transactions without actually knowing it is a kind of IoT in his social life. But he walks into office and he has to sign his name. So in the organization, we are actually pulling him down. In the work of where he's supposed to work, we are actually no, you have to give a coupon to take lunch. But outside he's ordering food, paying bill using barcode, the same person. So it is in our mind that we think that the manufacturing guys on the shop floor are not tech aware. I think that honestly in the last 5-6 years has changed. It is just that we have to make them aware this is a journey of digital transformation. There is nothing different than this. What you're doing in your personal private life is what is expected to do. Obviously data security is a different topic, I completely agree, but I'll come back to why I give this example of scanning barcodes is because how AI was used in this industry. The problem statement was, I have contract laborers who change every 2 months. I think most companies in MSME will have that problem. Every 2-3 months, operators change. How do you bring now performance on these guys who are going to leave their company and go in 3 months? Because they know even if I work 120% at efficiency, 3rd month I have to walk away from here. So what we did was a simple performance monitoring pie chart. So he's working, while he's working, he's being monitored on the time he's taking to finish one job. And we are showing at the end of each hour, based on 100% criteria, how much is his performance. If he has to make 40 parts, if he makes 38, 37, he sees how good is my performance, independent of material supply or not. Now the moment he's finished his shift, he's already seeing that what is my performance going to be. If it's going to be 90, 95%. If it is 90, 95%, on the same screen a barcode gets generated. All he has to do is take his phone, take a picture of the barcode while going out, go to the vending machine, show the barcode and take a cookie home or a biscuit packet home, which for him is a lot more motivational than telling him that you have to become a performing, a higher performer. Because for him, that evening he is taking something home because he's a contract employee. So taking a 20 rupee biscuit packet is, to be honest, more motivating to him, and he's seeing his performance. He sees his performance every hour. So he knows that he is in control of his own performance, and that evening he's taking something home. So, and AI is actually helping him do that because we are connecting now the performance of the shop floor to a barcode system, to a vending machine for him to take away a gift home. That's a simple use case which we could establish, and it's worked miraculously. That up to almost 300% increase in productivity happened because they did not want the material also not to be there. The mindset is first, if there is no material, I will not do. Now there is a reverse. He is seeing that the material is not there or it's going to run short of material. So he is now actually initiating and calling material, I want the material here because he wants to perform better. So that is how I think using technology, we can even motivate an uneducated, unskilled employee to perform better without actually asking him to, telling him this is AI.
Very, very interesting use case. I think I made a few interesting points out of here, especially around the productivity, the transparency, as well as immediate rewards. We used to do this in our industry, at least I used to run a large business, which was very digitally measured because of I used to run operations, 24/7 operations for many organizations. We used to have this by means of giving points, but it is not in the, it's the fact that you're doing it in the manufacturing setup and things like that is very interesting. Mandar.
Sure. I think for us, it's always been a top-down approach, and we are lucky that, fortunate that, it's already imbibed in the technology should be first. But to answer the question, 2 things I believe, apart from the awareness, I will go with Himanshu as what he said. The first thing is to show the quick wins. I mean, even for the person on the shop floor, if you show him that this works and this is not going to take over the HI, but it's going to make HI more effective. It's going to ease your job. That's where they would be convinced. So 2 examples where use cases I would say is where we could convince is one was on a cyber security, and which is very interesting because we always talk for AI on applications nobody's talking about AI for infrastructure or cyber security. But we have a SOC system, which is a security operations center. And in one of the SOCs, we tried to implement the AI. And to my surprise, that AI helped us to reduce A, the false alerts which were coming, B, to give us an alert on a ransomware attack which was launched, and we were able to stop it. If that would have happened, then our whole plant would have come to an halt. I think that was the best quick win to show that AI really works, and that's going to benefit us. So that was one. The second use case or a POC we tried doing in one of the acquisitions which we had made was in terms of there was a lot of scrap which was going, and they produce seamless tubes. And on the shop floor, the pain was that the hot bar which comes out, the people were trying to measure it with the hands and the tape. And that's impossible, right? Because there are going to be different tolerances which you measure, you write in the ERP systems, and that's going to be scrap. There is where we tried to do a laser measuring for the bars, and that really helped to generate the data and run AI on top of it to say what scrap is going out and how we can control it. So I think these two examples were the quick wins where we could convince the management that AI is needed. So quick wins, obviously showing the quick wins, and of course the awareness on how it's going to help to protect your job and make you more effective. I think these two things would help for the AI adoption.
Mandar, you bring about a very interesting data point on the AI for cybersecurity. In fact, MCCIA is running an initiative on cybersecurity to increase the level of awareness, increase the level of competency in students. And this is something which we are doing in partnership with the US consulate in Mumbai. Very interestingly, there is a conference coming up in February. And prior to that, we have actually launched a contest for the students on coming up with use cases on usage of AI in cybersecurity. So we would definitely have you as one of the evaluators of that contest. So we actually have 22 colleges which have registered and have a cybersecurity club as part of this initiative. Out of those, there are 10 colleges which are doing very well. And it's an invite-only participation. So only those colleges are participating. But obviously, there's a good amount of opportunity to leverage. And Sucheta has been part of that initiative as well. So Sucheta, we'll talk about talent. And you did mention about interns. But one thing which I want to share for all of you as in the audience is that the number of courses which are getting launched in engineering colleges and non-engineering colleges in AI is quite phenomenal. And I think it's very important for people to be aware that there are people who are trained and you can potentially give use cases or problems to them to work on, and it could also benefit you, especially the small and medium businesses can significantly benefit if they are able to structure certain things in the way. And you've been working with some of these colleges. You are a faculty at MIT, ADT, and various other colleges as well. So just give us a feel of the readiness and the enthusiasm. I'm seeing a tremendous amount of talent in that space.
Right. So I think when it comes to interns, although we have 50-60% who are college interns, we actually have 40% who are working professionals. They also work as interns because mostly they are reskilling, upskilling, changing their domains. So they want to get hands-on experience on, something which they have not done before, and people who are also coming back from the job break. And I think 2-3 important things which I have personally believed or followed is when around 500 interns have worked with our community in last 5 years. We have never checked their resumes or marks, or we have never taken their interviews. We have given them an open forum to come, and we have assessed their commitment on the job for 3 weeks. And that too on the basic values of commitment, attitude, ability to learn, self-learn. The second thing which we have done is we have married them to the organizations who are looking for, trying to do something. And there we have focused on, giving them direct access to those industries, organizations. In fact, for some of the assessments which Sudhanva mentioned, some interns have also joined me when we have done digitalization assessments. because they were from mechanical background, so they were able to understand that. And then we focused on problem solving. And then we have tried to ask the interns to solve those problems. There also we have focused on, how to encourage the MSMEs, how they can leverage the existing infrastructures. Just like Himanshu said, right, most of the MSMEs have CCTV cameras. So we have given them lot of use cases which can be used, just hardware is there, you just implement software on top of it. Lot of video analytics, lot of this occupational hazard, especially in all of my reports I have this, that ensuring that all the compliance labors are following, and even in QA. Lot of things can be easily developed on the existing infrastructure which they already have. So we are trying to advocate that. And second important thing is data science. We are advocating to start with descriptive and diagnostic analytics. Because you have data, you have in different forms, collate, integrate, clean it, have a 360-degree view, and you will get insights which you don't know, other than the expert judgment. I think that is a big realization which Copper Cloud also said, that there are a lot of insights which they themselves don't know, which are first become visible and then validated. And once I think they believe in that, then the process happens.
Yeah, I have been quite encouraged. Since I moved out of TCS the last 6 months or so, I've been spending time at COEP University, and I work with a lot of the young students and faculty members. And the cross application, so people in electrical engineering department, even material science department or electronics or communication, AI is penetrated in all the areas. So I'm sure that the same applies to the industry as well. And we saw some very interesting use cases, right from the core manufacturing to design to HR to safety. You see a very wide variety of applications. So, I'll, just as a concluding thoughts from each one of you as we wrap up this wonderful conversation. So I'll start off with Mandar, Himanshu, and then Suchita. Any closing comments?
I think the only closing comment I would have is, I firmly believe people ask me whether AI would be pilot or co-pilot. I always say AI will be only co-pilot. AI cannot replace HI because, it lacks in the ethics, it lacks in compliance for sure. And sometimes the decisions which are made are situation based, which probably AI can't drive. So I think, we should not be bogged down with the new technologies and adoption of it. Rather, we should find the right use case to adopt it and only then go, rather than going with the jargons of the industry. So yeah, take the AI as your co-pilot and be effective and productive. That's what I would say. Thank you.
That's nicely put. I think a slightly more human view to AI is AI. I hope it can't, but I think it will. But I hope AI doesn't get emotional. So I think we are emotional about AI. I think if it goes other, AI becomes emotional, then I think we'll have a serious concern. But that's just a generic view which I have about, what if AI gets emotional? I think then we'll have a serious problem. But I think till that time, which I don't know how far it is away, I think it is quite safe that there will be AI in our life. Whether we know it or we don't know it, it's already part of our life. I mean, we all know our phone is hearing what we are saying, planning my trips before I think of planning my trips, telling me this is where you must be going because you have a holiday coming there and this is the flight which you must be taking. So I think that level of unknowingly we have got AI already in part of our life. That's what I feel. And as a closing statement, I think I always have said that if something is coming your way with honest intent and something doesn't want to disrupt your life and it is only offering you something nice, you must embrace it. I think there's nothing wrong in embracing what is good for your life. Everything in life you can't predict. AI is not going to make it easier and go away, but I think if something is coming good in your way, look at it in a good way and accept it.
Yeah, so personally for me, it has been a very fulfilling experience, especially in last 2 years. There are different levels of implementation or adoption of AI. One is at individual level, like you as an individual, but when you are in a company, you are in an enterprise or an organization, lot of personal productivity tools and applications have come up, especially in last 2 years. They're definitely beneficial to each and everyone. Then there are generic solutions, which can be adopted by any organization for, their measurements and performance, like sentiment analysis, background check, KYC, integrity check, lie detectors. So these are generic applications which anyone can adopt. Then there are generic applications which need to be trained on specific data. For example, chatbot is same, but for you to develop a chatbot for your organization, you have to train it for your organization's data. So generic applications trained with specific data. And the fourth one is the applied ML, the hardcore enterprise solutions, which are really, like the bill of material or supply chain inventory management. These are, need to be properly trained and developed on your data only. But of course, LLMs are doing a great job there because they are reducing the cost, because a lot of data is available because of that. They're reducing the time to implement, they're reducing the computing cost. Because lot of solutions, are built on English, NLP. As you know, LLMs are primarily based on the language, right? So that also is helping applied ML. They don't have to start from scratch. They have already something built upon, and now they're building upon it. So I think these are the 4 levels. For MSMEs to go at the 4th level is the best state. But I think they are adopting, according to me, I have seen them very open and receptive. I think the cost is the biggest challenge for them. That's what I understand. But I'm very confident that something can happen in that regards also.
Last point from me, I heard Himanshu mention about his phone listening to it and giving recommendations. I saw very interesting research. Many of you use AirPods in the ear to talk. There's research going on what you think and how it can give you recommendations. So you don't have to type and search for something and then it will pop up advertisements. Even if you start thinking that I have to go and visit Goa, it will pop up on your phone. So very interesting work which is happening. So I think it's an exciting journey. And one thing which I would strongly recommend is there are some amazing startups around. And in Pune itself, there are quite a few AI-based startups. I've been meeting them, interacting with them. It is good to be aware of what is the art of the possible or the type of problems they are solving. So I would also encourage, and we have in MCCIA, we have a startup committee which is mentoring some of these startups, but there are quite a few of the events that we are organizing at MCCIA which give a view of what are the startups. We have been interacting with one organization which is called Bharat AI, which is a community of startups in AI. And I think it is good for MSMEs to be aware of what are these possibilities. So with that, I will conclude this panel. Thank you, Mandar. Thank you, Manchu. Thank you, Sucheta, for being on the panel and enlightening our audience. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dinanath Kholkar, as well as the panelists. I request Mr. Kholkar to please felicitate our speakers. You may please take the space in the front. Ms. Sucheta Dhere, social entrepreneur, founder of WIMLDS Pune, a community learning initiative. I request Mr. Sudhanva Kopadekar to please felicitate Mr. Dinanath Kholkar. And I request everyone for a group picture, please. So up next, we have MCCIA Sustainability Dialogue, an event that aims to bring together industry leaders and sustainability experts to share insights and engage in a dialogue on a pivotal sustainability topics. The event will begin in next couple of minutes.